It's been an eventful week for the Mafia world. On Monday, we had the sentencing of Genevieve's crime boss. And yesterday, we had the sentencing of the Bonanno crime boss. Today, let's talk about another major event that happened this past week. On Thursday, Joseph Barbera, aka Joe B., the acting boss of the Lucchese crime family since 2019, was sentenced to life in prison. This is a big deal for a number of reasons. For one thing, it means that all 5 of the remaining old-school Mafia families have their bosses behind bars. That's right. All 5 of the official bosses of the old 5 New York families are currently serving life sentences. Only the boss of the Bonanno family, who is awaiting his own life sentence after being found guilty in December, remains free at least for now. And if you thought that meant that Mafia was dead, think again. As part of his plea agreement, Joby testified against his own family members and associates. And he gave one final interview before going to jail where he laid out exactly how the Lucchese work today, which is actually more interesting than you may think. So why don't we start with the interview? It was conducted by Newsday reporter William Cattle and published on Wednesday. In it, Joby talks about his rise through the ranks of the Lucchese crime family. He talks about his relationship with former boss and now underboss, Matthew Madonna. And he discusses how the family operates today. Here's what he said about the current state of the Lucchese family. The other families aren't what they were. Neither are we. We do small jobs. Nothing major. Nothing like back in the day. We're not out there running numbers or sitting at a table taking money off the top. People don't understand that. You can make money legitimately. Why take the risk? We're not like the movie Goodfellas. I don't want people to get that impression. He's right. Mafia isn't what it used to be. These days, it's all about respect. If you want to know more, keep watching. There's lots of money to be made in the 21st century. And no, it doesn't come from extortion or racketeering. It comes from things like labor extortion, loan sharking, gambling, drugs and weapons trafficking, fraud, identity theft, and even sex trafficking. I mean, you heard Joe B. say that they aren't taking money off the top of legitimate businesses anymore. That's a load of crap. They totally still do. But these days, the guys aren't hanging out in back rooms counting cash. Instead, they go to fancy restaurants and maybe a cigar bar and collect their percentage. As far as the rest of the family, well, they've moved on from extortion too. Nowadays, they'd rather traffic drugs or women across the border. They have contacts in Mexico, and they ship the product up to New York and other parts of the United States. Same thing with the women. Now, here's something else that's really important to understand. The Mafia has changed. In the past, it was all about blood. If you were born into it, then you were in. These days, it's all about relationships. You only in the family if you have a guy higher up in the chain vouch for you. Bloodlines are important, and the families do try to keep their membership to a minimum. But nowadays, if you prove yourself to be trustworthy, then you might be asked to join. Joby himself is a great example of this. He wasn't born into the Mafia. Instead, he married into it when he wed the daughter of a Bonanno crime family captain. He started out doing odd jobs for the family, but soon enough he became trusted, and he worked his way up. By the time he was 38, he was called to be a capo regime, which is pretty high up. Only one step away from becoming a member of the commission. The last part of this video will discuss what Joe B. is looking at in terms of prison time. But first, let's continue with the interview. In the article, Joe B. says that he wants to set the record straight. A lot of the public perception of the Mafia comes from movies like Goodfellas, The Godfather, and TV shows like The Sopranos. So here's what he had to say about that. I hate what Hollywood portrayed us as. We're not sitting at a table whacking people. We're not animals. We're not monsters. Sure, we made mistakes, but that's because the government put us in a corner. You gotta do what you gotta do to survive. I don't agree with that. It's bullshit. The Mafia is violent by nature. They killed each other long before the government ever got involved. Just think back to the Castellammarese War or the various gang wars in the early 20th century. And as for being forced into a corner, look, there's plenty of organized crime groups around the world that operate without killing each other. Sure, some of them are forced to fight back against corrupt cops or government officials, but that's totally different than murdering your own kind. Joby also goes over his relationship with Matthew Madonna. When Madonna was arrested in 2014, he became the acting boss. And then in 2019, he officially took the title. But that doesn't mean that Joe B wasn't running things. Here's what he had to say about that. I wasn't under anybody, never reported to anybody. It was our arrangement. He was the boss, but we did everything together. That's probably true. But don't forget, they also run things differently these days. It's not just about power, it's also about appearances. With all the media scrutiny, they can't just have Joe be running things and him not reporting to anyone. They need that structure. It's a way of showing the public that they've moved on from the past. Finally, let's talk about Joe B's future. He's 76 years old now, and he's already in poor health. He suffers from asthma, and he recently had open heart surgery. In a few years, he'll become eligible for medical release. But according to the judge, he'll likely never get out once he does. It's because of the nature of his crimes. According to Judge Paul A. Engelmeyer, quote, Mr. Barbara's crimes are violent crimes, extremely serious crimes, crimes that strike at the heart of our society. Mafia organized crime groups don't suddenly stop being dangerous and vicious when they're 70 years old. They remain dangerous and vicious. I disagree. Again, they don't suddenly become nonviolent because they're in their 70s, but they do become less effective. Get it this way. Would you trust a 70-year-old hitman? How about a 76-year-old? I wouldn't. Sure, they can still be violent, but their effectiveness is greatly reduced. It's me. Thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, please consider checking out the links below. And as always, remember, don't become a victim.